Stop, my child. If your partner makes you beg for attention, they're not your soulmate. Stop. Read that again. Because somewhere tonight, you've been telling yourself a story that isn't true, the story that if you just try a little harder, love a little louder, wait a little longer, they'll finally give you what you need. Tonight, that story ends. An angel was sent with one assignment. Deliver this warning before you spend one more night convincing yourself that begging is the same thing as being loved. He says, I never designed love to be earned through exhaustion. Child, I know what you've been doing. Double texting and deleting it before they see how many times you reached out. Rehearsing casual questions so you don't sound needy, when really you just want to know if they still think about you. Making yourself smaller, quieter, easier to be around, hoping that if you ask for less, they'll finally choose to give more. I want you to hear me clearly tonight, that is not love. That is survival. And you were never meant to survive a relationship. You were meant to thrive in one. I know it's easy to confuse effort with worthiness. You think, if I just prove I'm patient enough, understanding enough, low maintenance enough, they'll see how much I deserve their attention. But child, real love doesn't require an audition. It doesn't make you perform for the bare minimum. It doesn't leave you calculating how many days it's been since they last texted first. I see the pattern you've been stuck in. They go quiet for days, and you convince yourself they're just busy. They respond to everyone else instantly but take hours to answer you. They remember small details about other people but forget things you've told them twice. And still, you wait. Still, you make excuses. Still, you tell your friends they're just not good at texting, or just need space, or just have a lot going on. I am asking you tonight, how long will you keep translating their indifference into something more palatable? I know it's painful to admit that someone you care about isn't choosing you the way you're choosing them. I know the fear underneath that admission. The fear that maybe this is as good as it gets, that maybe you're asking for too much, that maybe love really is supposed to feel this uncertain, this exhausting, this one-sided. Child, hear me. Love was never meant to feel like proving your worth on repeat. It was never meant to feel like chasing someone who only turns around when you're finally about to give up. I did not design romantic love to function like a test you have to pass over and over, with no guarantee you'll ever actually pass. I know some of you have been in this cycle so long you don't remember what it feels like to be pursued instead of pursuing. You don't remember what it's like to receive a good morning text without having to send one first. You don't remember what it feels like to simply exist in someone's life without having to fight for a place in it. I am reminding you tonight, you deserve to be chosen without conditions. You deserve someone who initiates as much as you do, who remembers you without being reminded, who makes space for you in their life instead of squeezing you into the leftover moments when nothing better comes along. I know you've told yourself they're just not an emotionally expressive person. I know you've made peace with crumbs because you convinced yourself crumbs are still bread. But child, I did not create you to survive on crumbs. I created you for a table set with abundance, not scarcity dressed up as romance. Some of you have mistaken their inconsistency for mystery. Their hot and cold behavior for depth. Their unpredictability for excitement. I want to gently correct that thinking tonight. Inconsistency is not a personality trait to be admired. It is a red flag wearing a clever disguise. I know it's hard to walk away from someone you've invested time in. I know the sunk cost feels heavy. The months, maybe years, of hoping they'd finally show up the way you needed. But child, the time you've already spent does not obligate you to more wasted time. Leaving isn't losing what you built. It's refusing to keep building on a foundation that was never stable to begin with. I also want to address the comparison some of you have made, watching your friends get pursued, celebrated, chosen without hesitation by their partners, while you're still waiting for a simple text back. That comparison isn't meant to make you bitter. It's meant to wake you up to what you actually deserve, because somewhere along the way you started believing this level of effort and disappointment is just what dating looks like. It isn't. Not the way I designed it. I know you've wondered if the problem is you. If you're too needy, too sensitive, too much. Child, wanting consistent attention from someone who claims to care about you is not too much. It is the bare minimum of what healthy connection looks like. If meeting that bare minimum feels impossible for them, that tells you everything you need to know, and none of it is about your worth. I know some of you have justified their behavior by pointing to their good qualities. They're funny. They're ambitious. They're attractive. They have potential. Child, potential is not a relationship. Potential is a maybe, and you were never meant to build your emotional security on a maybe. I want you to notice something tonight. When you're with someone who truly loves you the way I intended, you won't have to decode mixed signals. You won't lie awake analyzing text messages, trying to figure out what they really meant. You won't have to ask your friends to interpret their behavior because their intentions will be clear without translation. Real love doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't require a group chat consultation every time they go quiet. It doesn't make you feel like you're one wrong move away from losing them, because real commitment isn't fragile like that. I know it's tempting to think that if you just love them enough, patiently enough, long enough, they'll eventually meet you where you are. But child, you cannot love someone into consistency. You cannot beg someone into becoming the person who chooses you fully. People change when they want to change, not when you've suffered long enough to earn it. I know you've rehearsed conversations in your head, imagining the moment they finally realize what they almost lost. Imagining them showing up with flowers, with apologies, with the consistency you've been asking for all along. Child, hoping for a moment of realization is not the same as building a relationship. You cannot plan your future around someone's potential epiphany. I have watched you make yourself smaller in this relationship. Quieter about your needs. Slower to bring up how their behavior hurts you, because you're afraid that speaking up will push them further away. Child, if expressing basic needs threatens to end a relationship, that relationship was already standing on unstable ground. I know some of you have prayed for them to change. Prayed for them to finally see your worth. Prayed for them to become who you need them to be. I hear those prayers. But sometimes my answer isn't changing them. Sometimes my answer is showing you that they were never the one I was preparing for you to begin with. I have someone better prepared. Someone who won't require you to beg for basic attention. Someone whose actions will confirm their words instead of contradicting them. Someone who chooses you loudly, consistently, without you having to wonder where you stand. I know walking away feels terrifying. I know the fear of starting over, the fear of being alone, the fear that no one else will want you the way you wanted them. But child, I did not create you to shrink your standards just to avoid loneliness. Being alone is not the worst outcome. Staying in a relationship that requires you to beg for basic attention, that is the real loss. I know some nights you've cried yourself to sleep over this. Wondering why loving someone had to feel this hard. Wondering why you keep choosing someone who makes you feel like an option instead of a priority. I saw every one of those tears. I caught every single one. I also see the version of you that exists outside this relationship, confident, capable, full of light. I see how that version of you dims a little every time you settle for less than what I intended for your life. I want that light back. Not eventually. Now. Tonight, I want you to release the belief that their inconsistency is somehow your responsibility to fix. It isn't. You cannot fix someone else's inability to show up. You can only decide whether you'll keep waiting for a change that may never come, or whether you'll trust me with something better. So here is what I want you to declare tonight. In Jesus' name, I will not beg for attention that should be freely given. I will not confuse effort with worthiness. I will not settle for crumbs disguised as love. I will trust that God has someone better prepared, someone who chooses me consistently, without conditions, without games. You are not too much. You are not asking for too little to be given freely. You are simply waiting for someone capable of loving you the way I designed love to work, fully, consistently, without you having to fight for basic decency. I already know who I've prepared for you. Trust me with letting go of what isn't it. Trust me with the walking away. If this message brought you clarity tonight, take a moment and like this video. And if you know someone who's been begging for attention they should be freely receiving, share this with them. Tell us in the comments, what is God showing you right now about the relationships in your life? We'd love to stand in prayer with you.